Good morning. This is Scott in a Shot, live from Goodley, California. It's in the morning, so I'm drinking a shot in the morning. My wife's in bed. I'm going to take a shot of tequila. Scott and a shot. There we go. Today I want to talk about transgenders, and not in a bad way, not in a mean way. I want to talk about, here's what's up, people. I don't believe in transgenderism. I don't, but it's here to stay. It's not going to go nowhere. I've come to terms with that a long time ago. The problem I have with it, to be quite frank, the problem I have with it is that they're teaching it to our kids. You know, when I was in school back in the day, in grade school, friends of mine came out of the closet later on, and they were gay. And back when I was growing up, there was no such thing as a transgender. But the homosexual kids, I mean, and here's what's, I guess the point I'm trying to make is, nobody taught me in school how to be a heterosexual. My parents never talked about homosexuals. My friends never did. We didn't talk about heterosexuals. You just knew if you liked boys or girls. I mean, pretty much that's how it was. So the only problem I have with this transgender movement really is they want to be a special interest. They want funded sex change operations. They want to change our way of naming our kids. I mean, the problem I have with it basically is it getting introduced to kids in school. Kids find their way in, when it comes to sex in school. They didn't teach me how to be a heterosexual. They didn't teach my buddies in school to be a homosexual, and they found their way. So why are we allowing them to teach kids transgenderism in school? If a kid, the transgenderism, it's out there. Everybody knows about it. It's a shame that kids know about it so much when they're only in grade school and in junior high. It's a shame that it's gotten to where it's so highlighted. I mean, they don't highlight heterosexual. I never went to school where they highlighted any type of sexual preference. You're there to learn knowledge about mathematics and English, things that you will need to get a job later on in life, or to be able to excel to higher education. It was never supposed to be about sex. And that's the problem I have with it. The problem I have with it, that's it. Kids need to be kids in school and let them find their way naturally. Giving kids hormone blockers, and stuff like that. I just don't. I don't agree with it. It's like going through puberty is a natural state of your body. Kids have to go through puberty. After they go through puberty and they're adults, if they want to become a transgender, they want to change their sex, let them do it. I mean, obviously they can do it if it's law. I'm just saying, why is it taught to kids in school? Why do they have these books in schools that are so graphic about sex, whether it's transgender sex, homosexual sex, or heterosex? I don't get it. Kids always find their way to sex when they're growing up, just like I did. By looking through my dad's room and finding his dirty magazines, his Playboy, he's a basic Playboy. Kids find their way. But you can't be having adults talking to kids in a school setting about sex. That on a surface, on the face, is child molestation. Why would any kind of older person give three shits about any kid in grade school or junior high or high school sexual preference? That is meant for that kid to go through. They're supposed to. If you're a transgender, hold on, something on my screen. If you're a transgender or homosexual or heterosexual, it should never be highlighted in a school setting. When I was in high school, junior high, grade school, hold on, I'm taking it. When I was in school, I liked a girl. I liked a girl because I liked a girl. It wasn't because my parents said I should like boys or girls. It wasn't because the teachers told me I should like boys or girls or be a trans or transgender. I liked certain girls, and when I sometimes I'd meet them at, like in junior high, I'd meet them at after school, and I'd make out with them a little bit. And but I didn't advertise it to the school. I told my best friend, they said, "Hey man, I made out with her." But they got all these kids in school. They're trying to. These teachers are trying to get into the parents and these kids' lives and try to direct their way through their sexuality. And to me, maybe somebody can explain that to me, like a 2-year-old. I find that to be a pedophile. You know, as an adult man, I don't care about somebody's kids' sexuality. You know what I'm saying? When I'm out driving around, when I'm with my grandkids, when I'm with my kids, when I'm with my wife, I never, or it should be like this for a teacher too. I never see a child, a minor, and wonder what their sexuality is. And can I help them along with that sexuality? To me, that is perverted. I mean, kids are supposed to dream and dwell on sex when they're growing up, and then they figure it out when they're older. They're not supposed to have adults guiding these little children through their sexual fucking dreams, or whatever they think about these kids, like I used to think about when I'm growing up at a dance, at a 7th grade dance in high school. When I went to a 7th grade dance in high school, and when I was in 7th grade, I went to a sock hop in 7th grade. The teachers that were there, all they did was sit there and make sure that nobody was rude or there's no trouble that started. But I never saw one teacher sitting there giving a shit ever about what a kid's sexual preference is, or if they feel like a boy or a girl. It was never discussed. It was never talked about because it was out of bounds, and that's on the. It's up to the parents to guide their kids through their years of childhood and young adulthood, and it's up to that kid to guide himself with his parents' guidance, not teachers' guidance. My parents never sent me to school so some other teacher could throw their values onto me. It would have never happened. My mom would have went over there and kicked that teacher's ass, and you wouldn't even want my father to go there. My father's a 6'4" biker. He'd go up there and he'd start cleaning house. It's not any adult's place, except for a parent and a child, for any adult to talk to a child under the age of 18 about sex, especially in a governmental setting, a school setting, a church setting, anywhere. That child belongs to that parent. That is their child. They made that child. They had that child out of love. Sometimes not out of love, but still a child. And that child has to figure out that on his own in order to be a whole person. You can't have somebody pushing it on you. My parents never talked to me ever about heterosexual relationships, about homosexual relationships, and the transgenderism wasn't even around back then. My parents let me figure that out on my own. And if I had a question, I'd go ask them and they'd answer it in an intelligent manner. In a manner that said, I want to stay out of it. It's like my dad told me, he goes, I asked my dad how to French kiss a girl one time, and he goes, son, don't worry. It'll all come naturally. And sure enough, I went out with that girl, and we went to kiss, and sure enough, my tongue came out, and it was so natural that it was just like drinking water. It was so natural. Adults have no right interfering with the natural growth of a minor. They have to experience puberty on their own and figure it out on their own with their parents' guidance, not anybody else's. Unless you take that child away from that parent because they're an unfit parent for child abuse or something like that, you stay the fuck out of that kid's life. I don't care. If some little kid came up to me and says, Scott, my parents are this or that, I'd be like, what the fuck? You go talk to your parents about it. I would never entertain a conversation, not just about sex, but with any other little child or the minor about how their parents are raising them, unless I'm a family member. Do you understand? I mean, what is so that why is that so hard for people to understand? I don't care about transgender people. The only reason I go on my podcast and put them down and these homosexuals down now is because they're taking it into our homes. They're trying to push it on our children when they should just, if you're a tranny, be a tranny. Leave my kids out of it. If you're a homosexual, be homosexual. Keep my family out of it unless they come to you. And if it's natural, if any one of my kids ever would have came to me and told me they were homosexual or lesbian, I would have dealt with it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but I have 2 sons and a daughter. I would have never told them in school, you can't be this, you can't be that. I've never did that. Even as a parent, I allowed my kids to experience their sexual youth naturally. I got to take a shot on this because this is just crazy. I don't even understand how people think that adults talking to children and other people's children about sex or sexuality or puberty without the parents being there. I mean, I don't see how that's cool at all. I don't see how that ever even became mainstream. If the kind of stuff was going on in school now that was when I was growing up, the teachers would be dead. My dad, he's dead now, but my stepfather's dead. But he would have fucking handled it. I mean, my parents were very simple people. They were Americans. They worked hard. They pay their taxes, and they have the right to raise their kids the way they see fit. And however that kid turns out at 18, he can go his own way. You know what I'm saying? Do you think that I turned out the way my parents wanted me to when I was growing up? I didn't. They wanted way better for me. Whether it was, I mean, I'm a heterosexual, but you know, they wanted way more for me than I'm nothing like my parents thought that I would be. I'm still heterosexual, but I'm nothing like my parents. Just like, I mean, there's no difference, people, whether it's sexually or just normally. I'm nothing like my parents. I'm a heterosexual, but I'm nothing like my parents. I'm a different person. Just like a transgender person is a different person. But don't teach it to our kids. There's got to be a line that you don't cross. We can't teach our kids anything about all of this stuff that's about sex in schools except for basic sex education where they teach you what happens when a boy gets with a girl and they have a baby. Or anymore, if a gay guy, if homosexuals get together and they're not protecting themselves, they can get diseases. That's basic fucking sex education. Pushing them in any direction sexually is a perversion, and that is called a pedophile or a best sex. I mean, it's some type of sexual harassment. I call it pedophile, being a pedophile, because I don't see how any adult teacher would sit there and get so entangled in somebody else's kids' sex life, especially when they're in grade school. I mean, especially. I mean, I'm just saying, nobody has the right to take the parents' rights away of teaching their child the way that they would like their child to be. And if the child likes it, they turn out that way. And if they don't, the child goes their own way. Like always, in the end, the kid has his own mind. Every person has their own mind. In the end, it all works out. Do you understand what I'm saying? In the end, it all works out, but you can't have people interfering with people's kids. I mean, once you allow the government to take control of our kids in that manner, we truly are all slaves. When we don't even have the right to raise our children anymore. I mean, what are they going to do? Put a fucking monitor on every fucking parent's house to make sure that we don't go out of bounds with our parenting? I mean, are you serious? Is that what it's coming down to? It's coming down to where there's going to be somebody sent to everybody's house to see if you're a good parent. Make sure you teach that and not what you believe in. See, people, that's what's great about freedom. Freedom gives you the right to raise your kids, to think with free thought. And that's what God gives us. Our government gives us freedom. God gives us free will. Everybody thinks God's going to come down here and save us from our sins, maybe down the road. But God does not tip the scale on anything. God takes no sides. God made us with free will, and when you have free will, you have the right. You have the right to stay somewhere nice or somewhere bad, or you can leave. God does not interfere with the world as it's happening. I don't believe God takes sides. He shows no favoritism to anybody. He gave us free will. Our countries give us freedom or they don't. If you don't like that country, you can leave. If you don't like this country, you can leave. If you don't like your state, you can go to another state. If you don't like your neighborhood, you can move to another neighborhood. That is what freedom is. That's what free will is. And your actions matter. I mean, God's not going to stop you from making a bad action. It's called free will and freedom. Freedom and free will are the same things. God gives us free will. Our government in this country gives us freedom. So everything's on you, people. You can't be sitting there fucking around with other people's kids. You can't sit there just worry about yourself. Worry about yourself and you and your wife. And don't let these government entities encroach on your freedom of raising your children. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, you have to have the freedom to raise your kids the way you want. I mean, and most of the time, the kids never turn out the way the parents want. So it's not like they're being beat into submission. The parents raise them a certain way; they turn out that way, or they don't. If they turn out the other way, it's because the child wants it to be that way, not because it was forced on them. Kids don't have. Nothing is forced on kids. People, a child is an adolescent. They're a minor. They're being taught how to live in society. They're not supposed to have the same rights as an adult right out of the gate. They haven't learned nothing. We have a society. We raise kids to be. We send them through school to learn things. We teach them certain things. So when they get to that age and they enter adult society, they make the right choices and the right decisions that don't hurt them or anybody else, and it benefits everybody. That's the beauty of free will and freedom. God gives us free will. The United States of America gives us freedom, and we promote it throughout the world. But that's what it is. It's no more complicated than that. Mind your own business when it comes to other people's kids, when it comes to other people's problems, unless they're friends and they offer their help or you ask them. But keep the children out of it. The transgender issue only bothers me because they're trying to bring the kids into it. What kind of fucking movement brings the kids into it? Kids have to have the freedom to be kids. They have to have the freedom to sit around and just enjoy themselves. I never heard my parents my whole life when I was a little kid growing up, even in high school, about bills. My parents never talked about bills in front of me. They never talked about problems in front of me. When I was around my parents growing up, and now I was out playing a lot. What they talk about on their private time is what they talk about. But my parents never displayed in front of me and my brother any type of talk or anything about bills, about political stuff. They were parents and we were children, and they talked to us about children and child things. And they never let us know if they were low on money, if they were low on food. They never let us know that. But everybody wants these kids nowadays to be fully grown up and adults. They're supposed to be kids. Unfortunately, in today's world, they better grow up pretty fast because the world's a weird place. But all you can hope for is they don't grow up weird. You got to try to raise your kids to where they have some common sense, people. I mean, you better think outside your own special. I'm Scott. My kids are so much different than me. I wouldn't want them to be like me. All these parents want their kids to be just like them. I wish they were like me in some aspects, but in other aspects, I wish they were better than me. Because in my eyes, I failed as a human. I want my kids to be better. I don't want my influence to influence them. I want them to shine on their own. You know what I'm saying? The influence days for my kids are over. They're in their 30s. But all I can hope for is that they remember that all the things I said to them, all the things that I believe in, I told them about my beliefs. I didn't try to push it onto them. I told them my beliefs and their mother's beliefs and the things that we believe in. And hopefully it works out for them. Ultimately, it's on them, though. It's called individual responsibility, people. It even happens with your kids because all kids become adults and so on and so on and so on. All right, this got the shot. I'm out here. Get you the buzz of my. I'm retired on my day. On all my days off. You guys have a good day, man.